back with a story. This one's called Four Puppies. See? 1, 2, 3, 4. And a few other little friends there. This book was written by Anne Heathers, and pictures are by Lillian Obligado. And it was first published in 1960. It's a little golden book. Well, here's the story. There were once 4 new puppies who lived in a warm, dark corner by the stove. Those puppies had never been outdoors because they were too little. They didn't know about sky, trees, or grass, none of that. They didn't even know about summer or fall or winter or spring. Until, let's look at our picture first. This looks like the mommy dog, doesn't it? Looks like a collie. That's the type of dog. And here's her 4 little puppies in a little box, and they're by the fireplace or stove. That looks like an old-fashioned kind, doesn't it? Brick, and it has a little door there. But there's warm fire inside, and so the doggies, or puppies, because they're new babies, they get cold more easily, and they need to be kept warm. So they're in a little box by the stove to keep them warm. And as I said, they hadn't been outside yet until, there's a little picture of them coming out the house. Whoa, there they go down the steps. Let's see what it says. Until they were old enough to go out the door to the sunny porch outside. At first, the stairs were too big for the little puppies to go down. Then, one day, the stairs didn't look so big anymore. "They are smaller," said one puppy. "No, we are bigger," said his brothers. Then those 4 little puppies went flop, hop, and tumble down the stairs and into the great big world outside. And here's that picture I was just showing you. They thought they could make it down the stairs, but they still weren't quite able to walk all the way. Like here's one taking a step, and here's one going flop. In other words, they had never been on stairs before, and their little legs were still short, and so it's a little tricky to get down those stairs. But they did. They were determined, and they went outside. And what do you think they saw? They sniffed the fresh green smell of the grass. They raced on the grass, and they rolled on the grass, and they turned somersaults in the grass all afternoon. "Oh my, what a fine place this is," said the 4 little puppies. And here they are. Can you imagine? They've never been out before. How would you feel if you went out for the first time? Here's puppies. They're rolling and itching their backs and smelling and running around. And it looks like a pretty nice area to run around in too, doesn't it? Trees and grass and plants of different sorts. Well, each day the 4 puppies went out to play. They pounced at caterpillars. They pounced at caterpillars. You know what that means? Pounce means they're kind of jumping at them. They chased butterflies. And they ran round and round after their shadows. They thought that shadow was somebody, another dog maybe, right? And they're chasing it, and of course you can't catch your shadow exactly. They had just had a lot of fun, and they had so much fun that they hated to go inside, even when there was nice hot chicken broth for supper. That must be what their human served them. So here they are chasing butterflies and pouncing at caterpillars and running every which way and having so much fun outside. And it was hard to come inside. But they did eventually and had their nice dinner. Well, then one morning they came outside and the stairs looked even smaller. "And we're even bigger," said the puppies. And they walked down those stairs. Plop, plop, plop. Easy as pie. But the 4 little puppies were so busy playing they didn't see that the big world was changing too. See? So here they come. Now their legs are a little longer. They can go down the stairs. 1, 2, 3. Plop, plop, plop. And there they go. They're happy they can get down the stairs without tumbling. And they were so enjoying their outdoors each day. But they didn't see that the world was changing outdoors until it had changed so much that they couldn't play the same games anymore. What do you think is happening? They've been playing outside for a while. The weather's been warm. There's flowers blooming, leaves on the trees. And now things are starting to look a little different. Let's see if you can guess what's happening. A funny little wind tickled their ears. They didn't have shadows behind them because the sun was behind a cloud. It was a little cloudier outside. The grass felt cool. The butterflies had gone. They were not there anymore. And the caterpillars were hiding. And the leaves began to turn yellow and red and orange. Oh dear, said the puzzled puppies. They weren't sure what to think. Look it. Their butterflies have gone to a warmer place. So they flew away. The trees are turning these beautiful colors, but they can't find some of the things they used to find, and the grass is colder and everything. Do you know what's happening? What is that? There's a new season coming, right? What comes after summer? Fall, or autumn, we sometimes call it. And they didn't know about that. Remember, they're babies. They've never experienced this before, and they're learning each day. Well, after they started seeing all these things, and they said, oh dear, the next day, whoosh, the wind knocked all the petals off of a rose. That's a pretty flower, right? And swoosh, it blew the leaves right off the trees. Those 4 puppies tried to put the petals back on the rose. Oh, is that going to work? No, wish it could. They tried to put the leaves back on the trees. Aw, but they couldn't. And so what do you think they did? Here they are. The leaves are blowing off the plants, and the rose petals are flying off there. The trees are losing their leaves, and they're trying to fix it, but they can't. And what did they do? Oh, they started crying and howling. Oh, it was kind of scary because the world that they had known in the nice warm season that comes before fall, which is called summer, summer was ending. It was getting colder out, and the plants were dying and off and getting ready for the next season. But the leaves put on their beautiful display of color as they change just before they fall. And I bet now if you looked outside, you could see some pretty yellows and oranges and reds. I know I can. Well, when they cried, there was somebody that heard them, and it was a friendly little red squirrel in a tree. And you know what he said? He said, you silly billies, there's nothing to cry about, said a friendly little red squirrel in the hickory tree. When the leaves turn red and yellow and come off the trees, it means that summer is over and fall has come. And why, you'll just have more fun than ever. In other words, every season has its fun. And the squirrel was right. Leaves as crisp as cornflakes covered the ground. The 4 little puppies scuffed around in leaves and buried themselves under leaves and kicked leaves up in the air. They had so much fun that they hated to go inside, even when there were lamb chops for dinner. Another tempting dinner for them. Okay, here's the friendly squirrel. He sees them, and he's talking here. This little puppy's listening. He says, don't worry. It's fall, and this is supposed to happen. Look at all those leaves, but just have fun and enjoy it. And that looks like that's what they're doing. That, oh, okay, we don't have to worry. Okay. And they started to kick the leaves and roll in the leaves and have such a grand time. Lots of fun, right? Because each season has its own special things, right? Yeah, that's for sure. Well, another thing I think we can learn from this is sometimes when things change, like maybe we move somewhere or some plans that we had didn't turn out the way we wanted them to, or we wanted to play something and we can't right then. Sometimes things don't go the way we want them to, in other words. And that's what happened to these puppies, right? They were playing in the wonderful sunshiny, warm summer days, having a great time. And when everything changed and got cold and the leaves started falling and things weren't the same, and they got sad and worried, like, what's going on? I don't understand. But when they understood, when the squirrel explained to them that there was no reason to be worried, you may not be able to play the same things, but you can play different things. You may not be able to do what you wanted to do before, but now you can try new adventures and have new fun. And it is fun to roll around in the leaves. And I'm not a puppy. Well, once they learned about that, they were happy. And they had a lot of fun playing in the leaves in the fall weather. Well, then one morning, when the puppies went out to play, they didn't have to walk plop, plop down the stairs. They could jump down the steps 2 at a time. What had happened? They got a little bigger, didn't they? They keep growing, just like we do when we're small. And the one puppy said, the steps are even smaller. And then the other one said, the other brother said, no, we are even bigger, said his brothers. But they didn't see that the big world was changing too. Now, what does it look like? It looks like most of the leaves are off the trees. See here? Some few left on that tree and a few others, but most of them are gone. And there's a few scattered on the ground. And here's a little squirrel. He's carrying a nut. That's what I thought. Isn't that? He looks like he's really happy to have that nut. Have you ever seen a squirrel carrying a nut? That's what they like to do. And they like to bury them so they can dig them up later to eat. But the puppies, who are just able to now hop down the stairs instead of tumbling or stepping, are getting concerned because not only did most of the leaves go away, but it's getting colder. Freezy. And they didn't see that the big world was changing again until it had changed so much that they couldn't play the same games anymore. The water in the puddles turned as hard as glass. What had happened? It turned to ice, didn't it? A rough wind blew their ears back. Their doggy ears were going whoosh. If I had a little doggy here, I would show you. Actually, I do. Not a real one. This guy here. See his nice floppy ears? Yeah, isn't he cute? But if the wind was blowing from this direction, he'd go, whoa! My ears are blowing back. Whoosh. And he would be like, what is going on here? Well, let's see. Can you guess what's happening? The leaves blew clear out of the yard. The wind was so strong. What do you think is happening? The water in the pond turns to ice. Their ears are blowing back. It's getting colder and colder. There's hardly any leaves on the trees. What's happening? They're getting worried again. They didn't remember last time that it was nothing to worry about, but this is new to them, so they're a little worried. And one of them said, well, I should say all of them said, oh dear, cried the puzzled little puppies. They tried to hold on to the leaves that were flying down, but they still blew away faster and faster. And so the puppies started to, cry. Oh, I'm so sad. Yeah, poor puppy. Oh, he's so sad. I'm sorry, puppy friend, but you know what? You don't have to worry. And here comes that nice squirrel again. Here's the puppies crying and getting worried as they're trying to catch the leaves and they're blowing away. The nice little squirrel peeks out of his hole in the hickory tree. And he says, you silly billies, there's nothing to cry about. When there's ice on the puddles and the north wind blows, it means that fall is over. And what comes next? Winter has come. You'll just have more fun than ever. You can tell that the squirrel has a good attitude. He enjoys every season of the year. And he's letting them know that they don't have to worry. They don't have to cry. Just listen to him and find out that the weather is going to change again. Right, puppy? and it's going to get colder. It's going to be different, but it's still going to be fun. And the squirrel was right. For the next day when the puppies went out to play, everything was covered with white. What was that? Snow. Woo, they had never seen that before. And every day after that, those 4 little puppies parted snow with their noses. Did you do that with your little nose? In the snow? And they slid down the bank like a little, like they didn't need a sled. They just slid on their own bottoms. And they made footprints in the snow. They had so much fun that they hated to go inside, even when there were great big beef bones for dinner. Yeah, look at, here they are digging with their nose in the snow, all that pretty snow on the ground, sliding, and just having a great old time in the yard. And they realized they didn't have to be worried, did they? Right? It was just a new season. It looked different, but it was the same yard, the same family house that they lived inside when they were inside. They still had food to eat. They still had each other. They still had their mommy dog inside. But it was just different outside. So there was just more fun of a different kind, right? Well, one morning the puppies were so big that they could jump down the stairs 3 at a time. So not 1 step at a time, not hop downstairs, but whoop, 3 steps at a time, and they were down. But they didn't notice that the big world was changing again. So here they are sliding, and they didn't notice there was changing until it had changed so much that they couldn't play the same games anymore. See, they were just getting used to all that nice snow and the cool weather. But now, the sunshine was getting a little warmer. It wasn't raining, but the water kept drip, drip, dripping from the trees. Things are melting, aren't they? Ice and snow. The snowbank was too small to slide down. It was just disappearing. And the next day, there were bare brown patches of ground with no snow at all on them. And here they are. They're like, what is going on here? Here's a brown patch where the snow has melted. They're getting dripped on from the trees. The days are getting a little warmer. See, there's some drips coming down. What are they doing again? Oh! And they started crying and said, oh dear. They tried to push the snow into a pile so they could keep it to play with, but the snow turned to water and sank into the ground right under their paws. And so that's when they started to cry. One started over here, but then they all got into it here. Because their snow was going away, and they liked that snow. So now what's going on here? The snow is disappearing. It's not as cold out. And who do you think came along to tell them what was going on? That's right, the squirrel. You silly Billies, there's nothing to cry about, said the friendly squirrel in the hickory tree. When the sun gets warmer and melts the snow, it means that winter is over and, excuse me, winter is over, and what comes next after winter? The warmer season, when flowers start popping out. Spring has come, and you'll soon guess for yourselves what comes after spring. It's like a wheel turning around and around. And the squirrel was right. Some tiny green stalks poked up out of the ground. The puppies and the stalks grew bigger every day. And one day the puppies jumped down all the steps at once and found leaves and flowers on every stalk. So here they are. Here's our friendly friend, the squirrel, talking to them, and they're all listening, and they know that the squirrel is friendly and kind and will help them. And the squirrel knows that they're nice doggies and they're friends, so she tells them all about it and what to expect, and what do you know? And look how big they're getting. You can see there and here they look like their mommy. Tulips and other flowers like daffodils, and the butterflies are back, and the grass is showing again. And the trees have leaves and blossoms and, ooh, things are changing a lot. That's how the big world looked when we first saw it, they cried. And they began to bark happily, for they had guessed what comes after spring. So here they are. Like we said, what comes after spring? No. They first had the really warm season when the book started, when they were really tiny puppies. Then they went to fall. Then they went to winter. Then they started warming up and it's spring. And now they know that the next season will be back to where they started. Summer, right? Summer. Summer is what comes after spring, cried the first puppy. Butterflies again. Then fall, said the second puppy. Crisp leaves again. Then winter, said the third puppy. Nice white snow again. Then spring, barked the fourth puppy. Brand new leaves again. And everything starts all over again every spring, all the puppies cried together. They are talking. Do you think they look like puppies anymore? No, they look like grown-up dogs, don't they? Look, they found some butterfly to chase. And who is there with a nice big acorn? Their friend, the red squirrel. And there's flowers and green grass, and they're just so happy because now they know what to expect, that there's 4 seasons, and they're going to go through them every year, and that each one is special, and each one has something fun to do in it. And let's go through those seasons again. Summer, fall, winter, spring. The friendly red squirrel looked down at them from the hickory tree. Now that you know all that, you are not puzzled little puppies anymore, he said. What are we then? Asked the puppies. You are big, brave dogs. Yeah, you are. And the squirrel was right, as usual. Aw, that was a nice story. I regret that I didn't have a little squirrel to show you because I forgot. But you could tell from the story just how nice that little squirrel was and what a good friend he was. So that's the story of the 4 puppies, and I hope you enjoyed it. See you later. Bye.